This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, hosted by Jerry and Mark, your one-stop shop for all horrible movie reviews. From the latest blockbusters and independent films to classics, let Mark and Jerry convince you the world is a dangerous place, though often good for a laugh. Now come and listen to the Horror Movie Show, if you dare.
Jolly good day, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you the latest episode of the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com.
And where can you find that?
hmpod.com?
Yeah, that would be the place.
It's on the interwebs.
Interwebs, the tubes. Watch out for the tubes.
Plus, we're all over iTunes, we're all over various mirror sites, and we're on the Crypt.
Crypt.
Eli Roth's The Crypt.
Download the app today.
Download the app if you're on iOS 7. There we are. And
soon.
And lots
Android.
of content. And soon Android, yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Get your act together, guys.
Yeah. I think Eli Roth hates Android users, so, what are you going to do?
Well, we'll have to kill him.
Oh, good luck with that. Many have tried. Okay, so we got a bunch of new movies and some real oldies here, too. We got a real mixed bag today. We're going to start the proceedings talking about 2013 movie titled Beneath, directed by our buddy Larry Fessenden, who is known from so many horror movies. One of the hardest working men in horror today, I swear.
Give me a list.
Well, he was just in You're Next. He's the neighbor in the house next door. Him and his wife are both
killed,
murdered.
And he's still around.
Yes, he's killed off.
He
was the dad he was sort of the patriarch of the little community in Jug Face.
Okay.
So there's two movies
that
made our top 10 list.
That's right.
2013.
The guy just won't go away.
No, he won't, and most of us are glad of it. So directed by Larry, written by Tony Daniel and Brian D. Smith, stars Daniel Zavato as Johnny, Bonnie Dennison as Kitty, Chris Conroy as Matt, Johnny Orsini and Simon Griffin Newman as Zeke, Mackenzie Roseman as Deb, those are all the kids, and Mark Margolis as Mr. Parks. Now, Mark Margolis is really, to me anyway, the only name actor in that bunch. All the rest are very young actors. Mark Margolis, you might remember if you watched Breaking Bad.
I didn't.
He was the extremely unsavory old Mexican drug cartel dude who was trapped mute in his wheelchair. And
so is he the Mexican-looking boy?
He's the old man. He's the old man who finishes the job.
Oh, that guy, yes.
Yeah. Now, don't want to give this away because it's a new movie. And
no, we want you to pay for it.
Yes,
we don't want to give it away.
Oh, you'll pay for it. Larry does a great job directing this. It is a very low-budget movie, but I found it pretty charming. I quite liked it. The monster
is really well done.
Is a big fish.
Looks like a big catfish.
Big catfishy rock cod kind of
about
thing.
About 20 feet long.
Yes, well, as big as the little rowboat that these
That's a big rowboat, actually.
Yeah. What do we have here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. And one by one...
And their gear.
One by one, this big fish is eating them.
Now, how hungry can that fish be? Because one kid probably would last it for a month.
What I like about this movie is that so many of these little lakes have legends of the big fish that always gets away. Well, this one got away and just keeps coming.
Yeah.
So one of the kids, Johnny, played by Daniel Zavato, he's a native to this part of the States, and he has brought his friends for a day of fun. Camping.
On the lake.
Well, not actually on the lake, but they have to cross the lake
to get to the campsite.
To get to the cabin, yeah. And his uncle, played by Mark Margolis, Mr. Parks, says, Johnny, what the hell are you doing? He says, don't worry, I'll make sure everybody stays in the boat, everything will be fine. So
no
something is up, nobody knows except for the old man and Johnny and us, and of course the first thing that the two brothers who are mega jocks.
One's more mega than the other.
Yeah, they're both
One is a little
though.
resentful of his older brother taking the limelight all the time.
Right. That's right.
And his girlfriend.
And there's two pretty girls. One blonde is the girlfriend of the older brother jock. And the younger girl is just sort of a friend along for the ride.
And then there's this cinematographer.
There's a nerd.
There's a nerd who videotapes everything.
He's one of those people. You know, I am never going to take a trip if in the group someone who videotapes everything, because I just know he's going to be filming my death at some point. No way.
And that weird camera he has that straps onto your wrist.
Yeah, it's like a wrist camera.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it's because it probably doesn't actually exist.
It's waterproof, though.
Yes, it's everything, isn't it?
I like the fact that it keeps recording.
Plus he's got, like, everything he's ever filmed
on it. Yes.
So that he can, show proof that the girlfriend is a slut and so on. It's pretty ridiculous. But overall, for a real super low-budget movie, I enjoyed this.
Yes, well, if you take it on face value, it's your typical who's going to survive.
Teen death.
Yeah,
horror
but
movie.
It is really silly in the way it's situated on this little rowboat in the middle of this lake.
Yes, it's very calm.
And I don't know if you've ever been on a rowboat in the middle of a lake, but wind blows up, it'll blow you right out of the middle of the lake, no problem. But these people just can't seem to get anywhere.
No.
And even when they have oars and other things that they can paddle with, which I didn't really think about it, when they actually cut out one of the...
busted up a seat.
To use it as an oar. I thought, hey, I didn't think of that. But then again, I didn't know there was an axe on board.
Right.
Either.
I did think of that. I was thinking, well, hell, you could take the middle seat out and you've got planks. And that's all you need to row with.
Yeah.
But no.
But this thing it could eat wood.
Yes. It's very tough. And they even stab the thing in the back with an oar. It busts off in the thing's back, and it doesn't seem to mind.
No, and it stays there for the rest of the movie.
And
which is most of the movie.
It's sort of a flag. I was hoping that somebody would have the nerve and the desperation to jump on the fish holding onto that stick, trying to drive the stick in deeper, maybe, and give up their life that way. But, geez, when you think, well, it'd be a lot easier to drown compared to being eaten by a giant guppy.
Yeah.
This is why you never flush your fish tank fish away.
Now, to me, this is a silly movie because so many silly things happen in it.
Wow.
I mean, granted, it is just...
It's not a documentary?
No, it's just a vehicle to kill off kids.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fine with me.
Yeah, it's a good horror movie from that point of view. But
the stupidity behind it, I mean, when the guy comes back with another boat and an engine...
Right.
And he's...
They managed to screw that up with their short-sightedness and their jealousy.
And the fact that he strangles himself.
Yeah.
By just...
Yeah.
I went, oh, my God. Okay, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
When he throws him the rope and they say, well, he's worried that they'll get onto his boat.
And then kill him.
Because he does, for no reason, because why would they?
They don't need decoys if they've got a boat with an engine on it.
Yeah.
They can't just, grab the rope and let him tow them. No, they have to take over his boat.
Yeah.
Because it's
and the fact that when he throws the rope to them, what's to prevent them pulling him to them?
That was illogical.
I went, well, geez, you're frightened that they're going to get on your ship, but you're sending them a rope that they can just pull themselves right onto your ship.
I know, it didn't make any sense. All he had to do was throw them the end of the rope, they grab a hold of it, he guns it to the shore, and then jumps out, and everybody is out of the water, and no problem. But that would have been kind of a short movie.
Like I said, it's a vehicle to kill off kids. Sometimes there was big holes in it. Silliness of, them paddling like crazy and not getting anywhere in the middle. And that lake wasn't that big.
No, and it's also not very windy because I've been in an inflatable on a lake and a wind comes up.
Yeah.
And those inflatables it presents such a huge mass to the wind that you cannot make headway.
Yeah.
My dad and I were on an inflatable on a...
But you would end up on another shore
you
somewhere.
Could just go with the wind. Yeah, let it push you and
try to steer as best you can.
I know. Well, of course, an inflatable, the fish would have bitten right through that immediately.
Yeah.
It was big enough fish that it was going to sink their boat
I have to
regardless.
admit that the fish looked good.
I thought it was terrific.
And the fact that one of the girls was wailing on it with an axe.
Right.
You never really saw anything except for blood squirting up.
Yeah.
And she supposedly blinded one eye. Why didn't she go for the second eye? I would have went for the eyes.
Oh, well, there you go.
If it was a blind fish, that much easier to get away from. But that fish kept coming back after killing off 5 different kids. It was still coming back for more.
I wonder what a fish like that would taste like. I mean, you could really get some nice fillets off that.
Yeah, but it would taste mostly like humans because that's what it ate.
It eats a lot of people, yeah.
I mean, what does it survive on in that little pond?
And unless there's some sort of otherworldly, supernatural explanation we don't get in the movie, why don't the locals kill the damn fish?
Yeah.
Like, throw half a beef carcass out there.
Because it's not exactly hiding.
And then hit it with grenades or something. It isn't hiding. That's the thing.
It's after them.
And why is there only one? That's what I fully expected. Okay, we've thrown one of our pals into the water so that we can try and get away in the opposite direction, and I fully expected another fish to come up and grab him on the other side. But no, evidently this fish is just immortal and
the way they were doing it, the way it was shot, the fish is chasing somebody else there, and they're paddling it, and they're showing the hand really, really close paddling, and you were expecting a second fish.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
I'm going, well, why did they do that?
Yeah. Why did he? Herrings.
And then at the very end, we won't.
No, don't give it.
We won't give the ending, but
it's a throwback to the 1960s B movies. This is a creature feature. It's like Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's just, and it's a great monster.
It's all about the dynamics of the group as well, and the rationalizing who's going to be next to be thrown in. And the betrayals and the secrets and all that stuff. So in that sense, that was entertaining. It was some good stuff there.
Right.
But there's some big plot holes that could have been, I think, justified a little more.
I just watched the second half of Creature from the Black Lagoon. I've never much cared for that movie, even though it's considered a classic and so on.
I've never seen that movie.
No, it's not. To me, it's very slow and very dull, and I just don't think of that fish man as being a
rubber fish
creepy monster.
Yeah, I used to have the model.
Yeah,
it was a great model.
Yeah, so did I. But what I was going to say is just being on the water is always an interesting thing.
Murky water.
Literally have no solid ground under your feet.
Yeah.
As far as the creature goes, they don't want to leave the area because, it's the find of the century. And that's been used plenty of times. But, I don't know, to me there's a sort of similarity between the two movies, just the fish-based killing machine. Okay, well, enough about that. Good job, Larry. I'd certainly recommend the movie. We got a movie from 1978, and its remake. Patrick is the name of the movie. From 1978, directed by Richard Franklin, written by Everett DeRoche. The remake, directed by Mark Hartley and written by Justin King. The remake has a double title, Patrick, Evil Awakens, but it's also just being marketed as Patrick. And that's just coming out on DVD, I believe. The original stars Susan Penhaligon as Kathy Jacquard. She's a nurse. Robert Helpman as Dr. Roger. Julia Blake as nursing boss, Matron Cassidy. Rod Mullinar as Ed Jacquard, that's Kathy's estranged husband. Bruce Berry as her current boyfriend, Brian. And Helen Hemingway as Sister Williams, her co-worker.
Brian's also a doctor.
And Brian is a doctor, that's right, yeah. Now, let's talk about the original because Mark didn't have a chance to see the 2013 remake.
I will watch... Yeah, and we'll rediscuss.
We'll rediscuss it. So I'll keep my comments on the new one short. But let's talk about the original Patrick from '78 because the new one, which I will just say, having seen both the last few days, I think the new one is an improvement on the original, as occasionally happens with remakes. But it also has a few weird holes in it that are not in the original.
Oh, okay.
In fact, in a lot of ways, the original is better structured than the remake. I'll talk about those in a moment. What did you think of the 78 version of Patrick?
Well, it's an Australian movie.
Yeah, they both are. Yeah.
Are they both?
Yep, the remake is as well.
And it's very 70s.
Oh, super 70s, yeah.
What can I tell you? The way they
the clothing,
dress,
the
hairstyles, where they live and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the relationships, too. I mean, it's very weird. I mean, she's having problems with her ex.
Right.
And at the same time, she's very caring for him, and he's very caring for her.
Right.
And then she'll casually have sex with her boyfriend as well as consider having sex with her husband.
Yeah, half the time she's all ready to go back with her husband, and half the time she's going to dump his worthless butt and go with Dr. Brian.
And the ex is trying so hard to get back together with her. He's doing all these really nice things for her.
Yeah.
Anyway, she plays a nurse that gets hired on in this private clinic. Well, actually, let's back up a bit. The movie starts with Patrick's family.
Yes, early days when Patrick was an adolescent, he had caught his skeezy mum fooling around with her latest boyfriend, the two of them taking a naked bath together, and Patrick decides it's time that they pay, and he throws an electric space heater into the bathtub, and they are cooked.
Again, this is what's going to send somebody over the edge.
Right.
Seeing their mother.
Mom, yeah.
And big deal. I mean, it's like, it was a healthy-looking relationship. She's just having a boyfriend.
She's kind of mean to him, but you get the idea that she was kind of twisted, and he was in love with his mom in an unhealthy sort of way.
Well, obviously that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes into a coma.
Well, he electrocutes himself. Whether he had psychokinetic powers before or whether they were developed while he was at the clinic,
the older
being tortured.
Doctor in the clinic basically says, well, you know, when all your senses disappear, maybe there is some sixth sense that you can develop.
That's right.
He's been in there for how long now? About
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. And
it's a lot longer in the remake.
And they all think that he's brain dead.
Right.
So they hire this new nurse to take care of him.
Right.
He has a 24-hour surveillance for some reason.
Well, somebody is always on duty. They not always in the room, but one of her duties is to make sure that his wide open eyes are wet,
moisture,
and lubricated.
Yeah,
because he doesn't blink. He just lies in the bed looking like a guy shocked at a price of a bill in a restaurant.
And very comatose, doesn't move, doesn't do anything.
No, and he's hardly shows even any brain activity.
But after 3 years, all the staff are sure really concentrated on him.
Right.
The only other patient you see is the next door neighbor guy, an old guy that keeps
old man
peeking out into the hall all the time, wondering what's going on, and also quite concerned because he claims he's playing chess with Patrick at night.
Right, and he's in the walls.
He's
in the walls. Now, I'll give you just a quick mention. In the remake, the clinic has become a place full of comatose patients. It's long-term brain-damaged comatose patients. And there's a ward with like 8 beds and men and women, and they're all just lying there on their backs, same as Patrick.
Oh.
And once Patrick's telekinetic powers kick into effect, they're like his puppets. So that's one difference anyway, which I thought was effective.
So she's been hired by this very strict head matron. At the very beginning of the movie, she's saying, well, would this surprise you? And she lists off all these awful things that you can do to patients.
Right.
She's trying to frighten her from the job or something, but she ends up...
Make sure that she can handle it, because they're doing experimental things to Patrick.
And I like the head doctor, who is also the owner of the hospital.
Roger, he's a loony.
Oh, he's just a riot. I love that guy. He's just insane.
He's a wild-eyed loony.
And so it all starts off with her noticing that little things about Patrick. Patrick spits.
Yes.
And
the only thing he does is this involuntary spitting.
Well,
but with her, he starts revealing himself.
Yes.
And that he is in there thinking. And while he's blind, he can feel her touch, at least on his upper body, on his groin. That factors in. And basically, Patrick's unhealthy obsession with one woman or another focuses on poor Kathy.
Yes.
And he essentially wants her to be his.
Yes.
and she doesn't want to.
Well, she doesn't, first of all, think that he's doing anything, but he has these kinetic abilities that can go miles. Like, he can go all the way to her apartment and trash it. He can go all the way to a party and try to drown somebody. It's like, how far are these guys away? A little bit hard to believe.
When she's sitting in his room doing a little secretarial work, and she's typing on the old electric typewriter, because this is 78, there's virtually no computers. And she's typing away with carbon paper and all the old stuff that we used to use. He starts typing on the typewriter himself. At first, he's using her body to type, and then after a while, he's able to just hit the keyboard with his mental powers. Now, she does try and convince people that he's doing this, that he's able to manipulate his environment mentally. Now, in the remake, it's a computer, and Patrick is just like writing words on one of his computer monitors, a medical computer. And he's just talking with Kathy, with his nurse, played by the great Sharni Vinson. It's only the second movie I've seen her in. You're Next was the first one, and she's already become my favorite horror actress of the day. Anyway, in the remake, here he is communicating with her. She never tells anybody. She doesn't tell anybody.
But the same thing in the original. There were some things that were happening that she's seen, and she doesn't bother to tell very many people about it.
Because she thinks that they'll think she's crazy. But she does tell about the typing. She does say he seems to have telekinetic
and they're
abilities.
looking at the page, and they're going, you didn't type this? Right. Yeah, it's like they don't believe her anyway.
No, of course not. Why would you? And Patrick is very good to not do anything out of the ordinary when anybody else is around.
Now, Patrick seems to be able to do everything through telekinesis or whatever it is, or electricity. He seems to be able to manipulate electrical
that's
things.
what the old man says when he says he's in the walls. So he can travel. And he needs a connection. In the remake of the movie, he calls somebody's cell phone. Like, he uses a computer mentally, finds somebody's phone number, calls them. They don't even have to answer, but now he's made a connection with them, and he can manipulate them, make them burn themselves, or drive off a cliff, or whatever he needs them to do.
Yeah, because he can also take over your mind.
Yes.
So, like, at one point, her ex is making a tuna casserole. And he puts it on the table, and then she says, well, it'll burn the table. So he just picks it up with his bare hands.
Fresh out of the oven.
And he doesn't even feel the pain.
Yeah, they both have time to sort of look at each other and look at the pot, and then he puts it down, and his hands are horribly burned. And he says, I didn't even feel that. And at that point, things are starting to get a little squirrely, but she has no idea that it's Patrick.
If Patrick can do that... then when the head doctor was giving him electroshocks, why didn't he stop him?
Right. Well, in the second movie, all this is what's stimulating the telekinetic ability. Like, the doctor, through his torture, is increasing Patrick's mental abilities. In the original, he asked for help. In the remake, he doesn't want help. He says, it's not time for me to reveal myself. I'm not quite where I want to be.
Well, I know in the original he wanted to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
He didn't want
to know.
Except for Kathy.
Because he loves her. In his twisted mind, he thinks he loves her. But he's incapable of thinking because he's a monster.
Monsters can love.
Yeah. Not in a nice way, though. I watched the new one before I saw the original. And I have to say that the scene in which the ex-husband, that is played by Rod Mulliner, Ed is coming to see Kathy at the clinic, and he gets into the broken elevator, which Patrick opens up for him. He gets in there, and he's trapped in there for what's supposed to be like a week.
Well, at least 3-4 days.
Now, there's people going past all the time. He couldn't bang on the doors. Okay, well, he's got burned hands.
It did show him wailing at the door with something.
I think it was the bar off the side of the elevator.
Yeah,
the handrail.
At one point, and nobody could hear him.
Nobody could hear him. Patrick's got him boxed up, I guess. And for some reason, the Otis elevator people weren't coming to fix the elevator.
No.
I'm sorry, it's an emergency.
It is a hospital for them.
Yeah.
You would think that would be a priority. Did they do that in the second movie?
No, they get rid of that whole stupidity. An elevator is used, but as a murder weapon more
Excellent.
Yeah, the way an elevator ought to be
Yeah,
used.
exactly.
But locking this guy in a box and just, like making him thirsty.
Well,
it's just silly.
Well, that would be it. If you could survive the thirst, you could survive days without food.
Yeah.
But it's the water that'll kill you.
Yeah.
But he does let him go at the end.
Now, the second movie has some flaws compared to the first one, such as Kathy, as I say, played by Sharni Vinson. She perfectly accepts that she's having telepathic communications with Patrick.
Right.
She perfectly accepts this and believes it herself utterly. But she knows not to tell anybody. But it's almost as if she doesn't think it's worth mentioning to anybody. It's very peculiar, even when weird things start to happen and she realizes that other people in the hospital are scared of Patrick or fear his power anyway, right?
Right.
Even then, she's keeping too much to herself, which I thought was odd. The doctor in the remake is played by Charles Dance, the English actor. He's Dr. Roget. Now, he is a formidable actor, and he's tall, he's good looking, a very cold, distant actor. He's always played a cold and distant fellow in his roles. He played the doctor in the third Alien movie, The Prison Planet. You just give people a point of reference there. He's very cold, very icy sort of fellow. So he's the doctor, and he is out and out obsessed with getting a reaction from Patrick, but he also understands to some extent that he has changed Patrick, that he has made this monster. The matron is played by Rachel Griffiths, who is a terrific actor. She was on 6 Feet Under, and she's an Australian actress that goes way back. Peter Sargent plays Nurse Williams, who is really fleshed out in this movie into a fun-loving kind of nurse and a good friend to Kathy in this movie. Much more than the original, where Kathy's got sort of a pal, but they're not great friends.
Well, she's the one that keeps egging her on to get involved with the doctor.
With her friend. Her friend Brian. But that's about as far as it goes. Whereas in the remake, they're going out for drinks.
Yeah, but did they go to a party and then they take off their tops and go swimming?
Yeah, well, one of them did. Damon Garneau plays Ed Penhaligon, and I think it's interesting that they changed Ed's last name to Penhaligon because, of course, the actress Susan Penhaligon plays Kathy in the original. So a little tip of the hat there, I guess. And Martin Cruz plays Brian Wright, who in this remake is not a doctor. He's a journalist. So when Kathy goes to him and says there are weird things going on with this patient, Patrick, he looks into it as a journalist, and she gets into big, big trouble. Because your boyfriend, it says Charles Dance's doctor, is asking all kinds of uncomfortable questions.
Right.
Now, in the first movie, Kathy gets fired after she's caused trouble.
Yes.
After she has asked her doctor boyfriend to check into this. She gets fired. In the second movie, in the remake, she can't do anything to get herself fired. They just keep her on and keep her on. I suppose.
Because it's union.
I suppose, yeah, really. I suppose they figure the damage is already done, and rather than train somebody else up, at least she's a little useful. Yeah. But she just keeps causing more and more trouble there. You'd think that they'd have pushed her out a window.
Or at least moved her to another ward.
Yeah. Well, that's it. In the remake, that's it. It's just a place for comatose patients.
Move her away from Patrick anyway.
Yeah, I know.
How well does Patrick play the part in the...
Who plays Patrick? I didn't even jot down the name of the actors who play Patrick, but he's good. He's much more attractive than in the original. He's such a good-looking young man.
Back in the 70s, nobody was attractive.
Not with those haircuts. Not in platform shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Leg warmers.
And those haircuts.
Shag haircuts.
Yeah.
Cute actress, Susan Penhaligon, I thought, in the original. But Sharni Vinson is cuter. Very skinny gal, Sharni. The interesting thing that she says is after having looked at all the other patients, and they all look like they've just escaped Auschwitz. You know, they're all super skinny, just wasted.
Yeah, that was one of the things they pointed out in the first movie,
right.
was the fact that he didn't deteriorate into nothing.
That's right. In this movie, he's extraordinarily beautiful. Patrick is just like this lovely specimen. His eyes are open all the time, you know, and he needs a machine to breathe.
And is his groin working?
I believe it is, although I don't think there's quite the emphasis on that. But Patrick's obsession with Nurse Jackie, I'm sorry,
Jackie.
A different show, with Nurse Kathy, his obsession with her it's explained much more in the remake.
Okay.
Lots of things are done better in the new one, but there's holes, like why the hell wouldn't they have fired her ass as soon as she proved to be a troublemaker?
Right. Other than that.
Other than that, I thought the remake was better. Mm-hmm. I would recommend, if you're only going to see one of them, see the new version. And I really did like it overall. I enjoyed the movies, but I also enjoyed the original.
The original had a lot of good dialogue in it, I thought. There was a lot of dialogue on, you know, what is the spirit? What is the moment of death?
Right.
When can we consider somebody?
In the original, that's what Dr. Roger is going for.
Yeah.
He wants to understand that moment. One moment you're alive, and one moment you're dead. And it's a transition that takes no time at all, because you go from being alive to not being alive.
Yeah.
And he's looking at Patrick as an example of death slowed down. He's seeing that halfway, which is rubbish. That's not what a coma is. But for the sake of this movie, that's what the Mad Doctor's experiments are all about, is prolonging that moment of death and understanding it. So that's why he's doing everything he can to torture just to get
Patrick,
just to get an electrical rise out of Patrick, and most of the things he does don't work. In the remake, what Roger is doing, played by Charles Dance, is his mission isn't this line between life and death. His mission is to shock the comatose back to life. He's got a drug, and he gives
so he wants to kind of like reboot the synopsis.
And exactly, he uses the word reboot at one point, to sort of jumpstart them back into the land of the living.
Oh.
And of course,
that's what Frankenstein did.
Very much. And he is like a mad scientist, and much more the mad scientist than in the original movie.
Oh, really?
Charles Dance is light years better than the creepy-looking old dude from the first movie.
I enjoyed the guy's performance in the original as well.
Yeah, but he's just like, he's an odd-looking, eye-rolling weirdo, whereas Charles Dance is cold and efficient and emotionless.
Okay, well, he
really
plays it differently. He plays it differently.
Very, very different. But the character is much bigger. Much more for him to do than in the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, all right. So you'll probably, folks, you'll have to listen to us talk about it a bit more once Mark has seen that. Let's move on to a movie I saw when I was a kid. It's a 1973 movie called Fantastic Planet. And it's based, of all things, on a novel by Stéphane Wool, directed by René Laloux, a screenplay written by Roland Topor and René Laloux.
It's a French movie, right?
It is a French movie from La France.
When you put this on the list and I went Fantastic Planet, sounds very science fiction-y to me.
Yes,
it is.
And
I was hoping to see rockets and and I did see rockets and I did see aliens, but nothing to what I thought it was going to be. And I didn't know it was an animation.
Right.
And this animation is like watching Terry Gilliam in Monty Python type animation doing it all through the whole thing. The weird characters, the weird things that the guy dreams up, and the animals and the.
It's a whole other. You know what? It reminded me of
planet.
Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, that too.
To an extent.
Yeah, that too. Not
weird creatures, weird landscapes. And
it looked like a drug-induced
very
scenario.
much. Yeah, it's an acid movie. The whole thing takes place on this planet, God knows where in the galaxy. And they're giants, they're blue, they have sort of gills for ears and eyes.
More like fins.
Yeah.
Fish fins.
Fish fins for ears. And other than that, and being bright blue, other than that, they're humanoid.
Yeah.
And as pests, and sometimes kept for pets, are little human beings called homs, which is a funny name because, of course, in French it means man. We get little clips and little lectures and so on of the alien civilization, of their philosophy, of their science, of their knowledge.
And their meditation and going off to other existing realms.
That's right.
In these bubbles.
Yeah.
It's just the weirdest thing, the way they go from place to place and you see these things in the background doing odd things. Yeah. These animals doing odd things and all different shapes. Yeah. And it's much like if you go out into the real world here and you look at a platypus here and an ostrich there, and they all look very foreign. But what they did is they based all of their drawings on completely foreign things. Right. They don't resemble anything on Earth.
No.
They're their whole ecosystem of their own.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. But the animation is drawings that they animate sections of the drawings. There's a lot of standstill animation and panning of the camera. Right. It's not elaborate animation, but the story is well told.
Yeah, it is definitely a cliche to say that cult movies are born, not made. You can't intentionally
make a cult
movie. A cult movie is one that simply finds an audience.
Right.
This is a movie that's sort of a cult movie that was made intentionally because they tried right from the start to just be as peculiar as possible.
Yeah.
And you know that a movie that's like Eraserhead. If you're trying to be as peculiar as possible, you know that you're not getting the mainstream audience.
Yeah.
You know that mom and dad in Ohio are not taking the kids to see Fantastic Planet or Eraserhead.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it does succeed, even though it's intentionally being weird. It's still weird enough that it's enjoyable.
Yes.
Now I saw this movie when I was about 14 or so at a science fiction convention.
Really?
And everybody in the audience just loved it because in those days, pre-videotape, you go to a science fiction convention to see
something new,
16 millimeter prints of movies that you didn't normally get to see. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was very entertaining. And it's just weird as hell.
It is weird as hell. Yeah. I mean, the humans are little pets, and there are wild ones and there are domesticated ones.
That's right.
The fish people, which is what I'm going to call them, even though they are they're very blue and they look very humanoid.
Yes.
They know that these humans have the capability of
there's a debate.
Organization.
There's a debate that how intelligent are they? Certainly, they're intelligent enough to cause trouble.
Yes.
They're like super intelligent rats.
They're pests.
Yeah. They're stealing and stuff. And our main character, our sort of hero of the movie, escapes from the kid who owns him, and he steals the learning device.
Yes, so they have
that the aliens use.
A hoop.
Yeah, it's a band.
It's a band that goes on top of your head, and then you press it, and it'll start teaching you, and it injects the knowledge into your brain so that you learn very quickly.
So the little Homs start getting educated in a way. They learn to read and write and so on in a way that the wild ones had never had before.
And therefore they could see them coming when they try to get rid of them.
Yeah, using pest control.
Pesticides on them.
Yeah, that's an interesting scene because they have creatures akin to anteaters that just lick up the little Homs and their sticky
there's
tongues.
all sorts of things. There's those balls that were rolling
weird
around.
Gas balls and weird metal balls and it's pretty monstrous.
And these things that go around shooting off discs of poison. Yeah. It's interesting in that the fish people finally realize that they have some intelligence when they look at how they were organizing their food supplies and supplies in their caverns and
that they're stealing things that aren't just food.
Yeah.
And why the hell would they do that?
The humans know that they have to get off the planet because they're going to be exterminated.
Right.
So they build rockets.
Yes, yeah.
And where they go is very interesting.
Yeah. We talked last week about heavy metal. I think that'd be a great double bill.
Yeah.
This and heavy metal.
Very odd stuff.
It's just nice to see stuff that isn't all done on a computer.
Did you see the English translation, or did you watch the French?
Subtitles.
I actually found with dual audio.
Yes, I saw on IMDb that Brian Bostwick is the narrator of the dubbed version. Yeah. And I suppose a dubbed version would be perfectly fine because you don't have to match the mouth movements the way you do in a live action.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't mind reading subtitles, so I stuck. And I've only ever seen the French version. Yeah. And I think you miss a certain amount of the flavor of the original country. French sounds different from English.
Well, I realize that at the same time. It's like anime. Some people love listening to the original Japanese. But I'm sorry, I can only take so much of high whining girls. I'm sorry, I just can't do it.
That goes whatever language they're speaking, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I listen to the Japanese and I'm going, I just can't listen to this.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty awful.
Oh, my God. It sounds like somebody's squeezing you to death.
Oh, indeed. Yes, let's hope so. Okay, so now we get another weird thing here. Amazon has, what they did recently was they released 8 or 10 or a dozen pilots for TV shows that they were hoping to get off the ground. Among them being the one we're going to talk about now called The After. But all they did was produce one pilot for each of these various series. And there's half-hour series and there's hour-long series. There's dramas and there's comedies. They're trying a different model because usually with network shows or even an independent sort of show that gets picked up by HBO, say, or the way AMC seems to work, where you do a pilot, yes, but on the strength of that pilot, which isn't seen by the public, on the strength of that pilot, it's decided whether to give you a few more episodes or a whole season or 3 more seasons.
Right.
So what Amazon seems to have decided to do was just create a whole bunch of first episodes for various series and then see what sticks, see which ones are likable. Now, Mark found this one, The After, created by Chris Carter, best known for The X-Files. Never a series that I was really into, I have to say. And he caught my attention by saying The After is very like Lost, and I know exactly what you mean. Ensemble, right? These people, 8, they begin as anyway, 8 people stuck together, thrust into an upside-down world over which they have no control and no understanding. Yeah. And these 8 people who are trapped in a parking garage, the night security gates have been lowered. They have a hell of a time, even a couple of them managing to get out to see what's going on. They've lost 24 hours when the 2 people who are part of that group of 8 get out.
Yeah.
And everybody on the street, police, firemen, regular citizens, it's chaos.
Yeah, they're running all over the place.
There's helicopters crashing into each other in midair and smashing to the ground.
In L.A.
Buildings are burning. Yeah, it's in L.A. And just everything has gone to hell. There is no central command. You ask a cop, he says, I don't know what I'm doing. Get the hell out of my way.
Yeah.
Everybody is running for their life, and they're all going in different directions.
Yeah.
Which strikes me as odd, because if you've got that many people and they're not hurt, they're not all in agony, but chaos is, chaos, not anarchy. Chaos is reigning.
Yes.
There is just no rhyme or reason to anything.
You'd think there would be a little more calm.
Well, exactly.
And, orderly, the police would say, evacuate this area. We want to cordon off this area.
In this pilot, we have no explanation for what the initial problem was, why a whole day went by where these people thought it was only a few,
and the fact that
few minutes in a parking garage.
This group of people all have the same birthdays.
That's right. They're all on
March 7th.
7th, yeah.
It's like, what the heck's that all about?
And what the hell? We may never see any more of this show, but at the end, what appears to be a black-skinned tattooed demon shows up.
Or alien.
Yeah, or alien. Exactly. Alien. Whatever the hell it is. It looks like a demon. Looks a bit like the...
it's the same size as a human.
Looks a bit like the disappearing black-skinned alien in the second X-Men movie, Nightcrawler.
Oh, yeah.
It's got like that blue-black skin, and he's got tattoos or scars.
He doesn't have a tail, though.
No. But he does have horns.
Yes.
And he does look rather devilish. And he's got this elaborate, very, like words tattooed on his skin.
Tattoos all over.
It has to be CGI because a person would die if you kept their skin painted this long.
Well,
it's so elaborate.
You know how they have the fake tattoos?
Anyway, let me finish my point. That is that all the tattoos that this creature has on its body, all the members of this group of 8, each of them have at least one of these symbols on their body.
Yeah.
Like each person has got one little tattoo that sort of adds up to this demon. So there is a reason that they're special. The same birthday, tattoos that match this demonic
and
alien.
them being hoarded into one area.
Yeah. Very odd. But I like the cast, and I especially like the actor Andrew Howard, who's playing an Irish lout.
Yeah.
McCormick, his name is. I love Andrew Howard. He was in The Devil's Chair. He was in Blood River, a couple of movies made by Adam Mason. Favorite horror movies of mine when they came out, especially Blood River. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember that, about the American husband and wife, and they're on the road, they're at a motel. They run into Howard, who seems to know a lot about them, and they wind up their car broken down in a ghost town, and Andrew Howard shows up, whether he's out to kill them or punish them for the bad things they've done in the past, whether he's an angel or a demon. You don't find out until fairly late in the movie, but I really recommend Blood River.
We should really review that.
We did.
I don't remember.
Oh, I saw it anyway. Great movie. Adam Mason is the writer-director. Anyway, it's called The After, 2014, created by Chris Carter. Whether there will be any more,
it really does have the feel of Lost, though.
It does. I like that.
Just the way it was written and things like that.
In addition to Andrew Howard as McCormick, other actors in it, Louise Monod, Aldous Hodge, Ariel Kebbel, Jamie Kennedy, who is more known as a comic actor, the Jamie Kennedy Experience.
Oh.
Yeah, he's in there. He plays David, who is a clown. So when we first meet him, he's in complete clown makeup.
Yeah.
And then when they get to Sharon Lawrence is in it, looking pretty old these days. When they get to her mansion, estate, she panics when Jamie Kennedy comes out of the bathroom and she says, "Who the hell are you?" Look out, strange man in my house. Hey, lady, I'm the clown.
Yeah.
That was funny. Adrian Pasdar and Sam Littlefield. So, yeah, good cast. I hope it keeps up. I hope we see more of them.
Well, they've left it in such a way that you got to have one more show.
Yeah. I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very intriguing.
I was reading online somebody looking at it, and they said whether this warrants a multi-season show or just a mini-series or even a longer TV movie.
Yeah.
I like the setup. Where do you take it from here?
Yeah.
At the very least, I'd like to see a couple more hours.
It's an interesting thing that Amazon's doing. It shows you where the future of television is going. It's
Could go, yeah.
Yeah.
One possibility, yeah.
Netflix has the original series that they're producing.
That's right.
And they'll put all shows, all 10 or 12 shows on all at once.
They expect people to watch all the shows all in 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah, House of Cards just came out, the second season. I mean, it's like 13 episodes. Bang, all out at once. Yeah. So you can binge watch. Yeah. You can watch them at your leisure.
I think they put 14 or 15 episodes of Arrested Development out all at once last year.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with this type of stuff, especially when it's Netflix. You're not inundated with commercials.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
It's like, that's wonderful, because if you want to see commercials, maybe they'll have some at the beginning and at the end, but nothing in between. I like HBO because of that, too.
Yeah, exactly.
No commercials in the middle. Well, there's shows.
You know, it's a premium service. You're paying for the service, so you shouldn't have commercials.
Right. Yeah. And Netflix isn't that expensive, so if you can get all series...
I hear it's going up. Significantly.
If they make really good shows... that are commercial free, maybe they should be able to put like HBO premium service, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what HBO is, but...
I'm sure it costs more than $10 a month.
Yeah, I know. Good stuff on there, but I'll usually wait for it to show up elsewhere. Okay, folks, so I think we're going to call it quits. Well, let's just quickly run through the movies. Beneath, would you recommend it?
It's a very low-budget, cheesy little movie that it's okay if you like that type of movie.
Okay, I thought it was a good creature feature.
Yeah.
Patrick, the original.
I liked it.
Good?
I mean, I thought the dialogue was very good, but there is a few kind of silly things with the telekinesis and things like that, but I'm looking forward to seeing the remake.
Yes. Yes, indeed. I like the original and I like the remake more. Better cast, although it has its flaws too. Superior to the original. Fantastic Planet, what can we say? If you want weird,
experience.
If you want weird, this is weird. And The After. Let's have more Chris Carter.
I enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, worth seeing. It also has its holes in it, but
it's just one show so far.
That's right.
Let them gap those holes with more episodes.
Get the polyfilla.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, so we're going to call it quits. We'll be back next week with more new movies. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
You never know. End of the world could happen.
It's not like we have any plans or anything.
The way I figured, if the end of the world is coming, we're not going to know about it. It's just going to happen.
Oh,
Bang,
really?
Done.
I anticipate being buried under rubble for a few days.
Nobody's going to say, on this day it's going to happen. It's just going to, we'll wake up and it's gone.
You just check Doomsday Predictions on YouTube, and you will see exactly how many people have a date and a time for the end of the world.
Yeah, as long as it's not tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.